The rise and far-reaching impact of digital currencies, which fall under blockchain technology, is becoming a major phenomenon that is set to shape the global financial market. Through the virtual and cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, it is also gaining traction across frontier markets like Nigeria. At the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria breakfast meeting, key players in the financial and technology space converged to discuss the evolution, regulatory challenges, and impact of blockchain technology on the future of payments and settlements. The first Vice President of the CIBN, representing the President, Dr. Uche Olowo, in his opening remarks shared why the Institute considered the topic of discourse crucial for the Nigerian global financial market.
The emergence of virtual cryptocurrencies, and particularly the Bitcoin, in recent years has garnered both a feeling of curiosity and caution from the global finance community. On one hand, interested parties view it as the highest performing and most valuable currency in the world, with its value recently reaching an all-time high of 1 Bitcoin to $1,200. On the other hand, it is seen by more traditional finance players as unstable and complicated with doubts of its inherent value. Whatever emotions this novel currency may garner, there is no gainsaying the fact that it has the power to greatly affect the more traditional means of payments and settlement systems globally.
In her keynote, Mrs. Toluwale Ademosun, MD Financial Services of Accenture Nigeria, shared the features and value of the blockchain technology.
Right now, less than 0.5% of GDP is actually executed in cryptocurrency. But I think the real issue is that it makes so much sense that it is expected that increasingly, just the same way the global economy moved from cowrie and moved from gold into currency, over time, as more of business, more of life is done digitally, it just makes so much sense that digital currency would likely be the way that transactions are done. And I think this could be on both sides. Transactions are unalterable and irreversible. If you have made a transaction, if I've transferred money from a ledger to another ledger, I cannot call the money back. It has to be the other person that transfers the money back. So there is double-edged. It's completely unalterable. It cannot be cancelled. Once a transaction has happened, it has happened. So what do we have in Nigeria? We have a growing community of Bitcoin enthusiasts. Whether they understand it or not is a different issue. Consideration for banks, I think for me, the earlier we wake up and smell the roses and understand that this is the way things are going to happen, beginning to think through, understanding the technology. So it is good that the CIBN has organized this to introduce the concept of cryptocurrency, understanding that cryptocurrency will continue to evolve, will continue to increase, beginning to build capability within the bank, skills and know-how about all this means. Because it's an open system, there is no KYC, there is no AML. So what anti-money laundering was supposed to address was to ensure that everybody in the financial system is known. Right now, in the cryptocurrency world, my only identity is my ledger. Nobody knows who is behind that ledger. So solving the problems around compliance to avoid fraud and money laundering, the truth is that as this increases, the transfer fees that bank earns will disappear because it's just a different opportunity. There will be reduction in transaction costs, and begin to think through how we can push through innovate around payments, smart meters, bill payments, and stuff like that. Obviously, regulators are weary, but I think globally there's a recognition that it is better to regulate and enable innovation rather than to try and prevent it. Regulators are waking up to the reality that cryptocurrencies will happen, whether people do not need permission to transact amongst themselves. So regulators are understanding that, and they are also, but the role of regulator is to protect. The truth is that your child might want to do anything, but you that is not good for the child, you will set boundaries. But you can't stop the child from doing. So rather than the regulator stopping people from trying to go into cryptocurrency, I think a much more effective way is to define how it can be safe and protect the participants. I think we should change our story, understanding that people will do. How can we make it safe for them to do?
Panelists at the event shared their perspective and gave insight into the blockchain technology and outlook for Nigeria's financial industry.
Banking as we know it today will completely change, because the idea of actually even building blockchain technology is to ensure that we eliminate third parties. Banks sit in between to collect certain commissions for making or transmitting payments. So by the time we're able to transact directly, peer-to-peer, based on an open ledger that everybody can see what is happening on the system, then certainly banking as we know it today will change. Secondly, if we replace digital currency as a form or a medium of exchange, then money as we know it today, fiat money as we know it today, will come to change. And that is why you can see all over the world, central banks across the world are scrambling, trying to understand what is actually happening. However, we must understand that with this particular payment system, certainly banking system will change, money as we know it today will change, and probably the implication will be that money supply as we know it today and as controlled by the central banks will completely be eliminated. We will have power, because this actually gives individual independence and power to have control over money. So to deny this thing and live in denial that we are not going to address this issue head-on is a big problem for all of us.
We should be careful, right? I think the CBN has admitted that this thing is there. You can't run away from it. Don't bury your head in the sand. We don't fully understand it, but we're trying to understand. In the meantime, be careful. Make sure you KYC your people properly and, protect consumers, etc. But on regulation, my view is that we should not over-regulate, right? There's room to create standards, to create rules and processes that people can work through to make a consistent experience for individuals. But the fact is, it is not impossible to have regulation and a successful blockchain cryptocurrency system as well, right? There's not anathema to the whole process. You can regulate, but still create room for innovation and to allow people grow.
What is cryptocurrency? The alternative to cryptocurrency is what you call fiat currency. Our naira and kobo today, or dollar, is what is called fiat currency. If you take a 20 naira or 1,000 naira note in your hand today, it's ordinary paper that can burn off. But it derives its power from the law passed or from the signature of the CBN governor that says this represents this value. So it's fiat currency because the token, the coins and notes are backed by law, by government. In fact, there's a comment on every note that says you make a claim of this amount on the central bank or on the government of the country. Now, cryptocurrency is the exact opposite of that, where an individual or a group of people can just come together and say, oh, we want to create our own kind of currency. There is no regulation apart from what the owner of the scheme has put in place. And your participation means that you are subjecting yourself to the rules of that scheme. Unlike the fiat currency that is backed up completely by government, we depend on government, and no wonder whenever things like MMM and all will crash, those who lose money are calling on central bank. No matter how much you want, the CBN had given earlier, hey, but it's your naira and kobo that I put there and I've lost it. People will make I think that will help us to really see the difference.
For us at the Central Bank of Nigeria, we are never averse to innovation. We always, as a matter of fact, we always work with startups, technology companies that are bringing about, a lot of innovation into the payment system. We are not operators. Our own is just to regulate. And basically what we do is to look at what is happening and set out the platform upon which, all the various operators can work together.
Central bank cannot control or regulate Bitcoin. Central bank cannot control or regulate blockchain. Just the same way no one is going to regulate or control the internet. We don't own it. Our own concern are from two perspectives. First, we look at the technology, blockchain technology, and we're asking ourselves, because of the benefits, the huge benefit of blockchain in terms of the security, that it brings to bear and the transparency in running, your business on blockchain, we ask ourselves, what are the various use cases? In which areas can we use it? Especially in the financial sector. We also look at how can government leverage on it to put some of its assets, to run on blockchain technology. So we are looking at the various use cases. Then we now look at the derivatives. The popular derivative or use case is the cryptocurrency, which is the Bitcoin. And we are asking ourselves, we are not the issuing authority for Bitcoin. It's not our currency, and we do not control it. We don't issue it, we don't control it. And so we're just issuing caution to Nigerians that if you want to go into cryptocurrency, if you want to go into blockchain, please be very cautious because it is not within the control of central bank. And so as consumers, when you lose anything in Bitcoin, or if you are defrauded because you participate in that currency, don't come to CBN for consumer protection because it is not within our control. That was the warning we gave out. But a lot of people misinterpreted it here that we say we want to stop Bitcoin. We can't stop Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not an invention of 2015 or 2012. It's not even an invention of 2010. So how can Central Bank of Nigeria, not Central Bank of the world, stop the running and implementation of Bitcoin? So I needed to clear that we're not here to stop. We can't even stop Bitcoin usage, but we're just throwing caution to Nigerians to be very cautious, just the same way we did when the MMM came. That's all. Basically to say, be very cautious because it's not an institution, or currency that is being controlled by central bank. So that's it. So the learning point here is about the perception that people have about central bank in terms of our position, in terms of, how we view the implementation. A lot of people, here thought that central bank actually issued a circular or a directive saying that banks should not, run blockchain or should not do Bitcoin and all that. You just can't control it.
At the end of the CIBM breakfast on blockchain technology, a major takeaway is that the changing dynamics in the financial system driven by digital technology will require the CBN, a major regulator, to come up with a framework that will guide the operations in Nigeria.